Hello everyone. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create our document library for our Power App that we're gonna store all our document sets in. So first thing you're gonna do, I brought up my development site. First thing you do is you're gonna go into you're either gonna add an app, or you're going to go to your site contents and add an app. So what I'm gonna do is you're gonna go up to the gear. We're gonna do site contents. And then you're going to click on the drop down for new, and you're going to select document library. We're going to give our library name. We'll call this doc set 2. Okay. I have one I'm going to use for my Power App, which won't be this one, but I want to show you how to set up the document library so you know how to do it. So we're going to uncheck showing the site navigation. We're going to hit create. Your document library will come up with your name up here and everything, and if you don't like that name you can change it. Like we can go you have to go into the settings to do it, which we'll do that here in a second. Okay, so you got your document library up. Now we're going to go in and to configure it. So you're going to go up into the gear again, and you're going to select library settings, and then more library settings. Well, actually, let's change this. We'll call this document set 2. So we have our spaces in there, so it looks pretty. So you hit save. Fortunately, you have to save it before you go back in again and do the rest of the stuff. Okay, you go more library settings. Now it's going to bring you into the classic view of the old document library settings from when on-prem was in existence. All right. So the only thing you're going to mess with is advanced settings in here. Okay, so we're going to go to advanced settings. First thing you're going to do is you're going to click allow management of content types. Because a document set is a content type, you have to turn this on, or you won't be able to add it. Okay, and then you're going to come down here to new folder. Now this isn't a requirement. You can leave this turned on if you want, but I always turn this off because I don't want people accidentally select. If they go into this document library manually and start adding stuff, I don't want them to select something other than document set. Okay, so I turn that off. Now if you have sensitive information, you need to turn search off, and I think everything else grays out automatically when you do that. And then come down here to list experience. It says default experience for site. A lot of times it'll go to the classic automatically, and we want to stay in the new experience so you have the new features. So you're going to click new experience, and you're going to click OK. It's going to bring you back to this screen. You'll notice that content type showed up, and that's what you want to see. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to click add existing content types. It will bring up your content type library, or your content types up on the screen that are on the site collection, which is on your team, or your using a comp site on the comp site. Okay, first thing you do is you're going to hit this drop down up here. It says select site content types from. Okay, you're going to select document content types, and then you're going to come down. A lot of times the document set's the only ones here, but because I'm in a development environment that I'm building this in, it's going to show them all. And document set is not showing. Interesting. Oh, sorry. Correction. This is document set content types. There's your document set content type, and you're going to click add, and then you're going to come down here. You make sure it flies to the right. If it don't, it's not going to select it. Okay, you click OK, and now you see document set and document content types here. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make it so only the document set content type is accessible. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to the change new button and order and default content type link. You click on the link. It's going to bring you into this thing right here. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to uncheck document content type for visible. Okay, and then you're going to change this document set content type to 1, and then you click OK. Now if you don't do both those steps, it isn't going to save you into changes. Okay, so you click OK, and it brings you back in here. Now it's still going to, the document set content type is still there. You're not going to get rid of it. It came with the document library, so it's just there in the back. It's not hurting anything. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to build out all your columns that you need for your document set. A lot of times what you have here will work. Okay, now remember, unless you're using a list to go in tandem with this document library, all your columns have to be embedded in this document library. So as you build out your Power App later on, you're going to have to create all the columns first. So it's best to plan it out, you know, what you're going to have in your entire app, and just make all your columns all at once, so you don't have to keep going back and forth between your Power App and this document library. Okay, but for this part of the demonstration, this is all we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to go back to the document set 2, and we're going to make sure everything looks right, and then we'll go on to the next part. Okay, so when you click the drop down for new, this link item here you cannot get rid of. I played around with it, I cannot figure out how to get rid of it, so it's just there, so just ignore it. But you notice the important one is there, the document set. Okay, and that's really all you have to do for this part. Okay, now we got our document document library made. Now we're going to make our Power App. So what you're going to do is you go up to the app launcher and you're going to select Power Apps. Since we're making a Canvas app, we're not going to use customized forms. Okay, I don't really care for the customized forms because there's limitations, but this is easier. Alright, so we're going to go into blank app and blank Canvas app. We're going to give it a name. We'll call this doc set 2. I don't want to we want to keep everything the same, name the same convention, so that way we know what it is. We're going to leave it as tablet, and we're going to hit create. This is alright, now we got our blank screen. Alright, remember, you want to rename your content as you go so it's easier to identify later. Okay, so I'm going to change screen 1 to start screen, since it is my start screen. Alright, and then we're going to give it a title. So we'll say, we'll put a text, I use text labels for banners. They seem to work real well because that seems like what they're made for. We'll call this document set list. Okay, and then we're going to change this to like 30, and my computer's lagging today. Change this to bold. We're going to center it. We're going to make the background color blue, and we'll make the font color white. Alright, so there's our banner. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our gallery. The gallery is like a view, so it's going to show our information about our document sets themselves. Okay, so you're going to go click inside the screen, you're going to hit insert, you're going to go down to layout, and I used flexible height galleries for stuff like this because you don't want a lot of white space. And a vertical gallery will do that for you. Plus, it puts in stuff you don't really need. The blank galleries are better, but the flexible height one is the best. So I'm going to hit this one. I'm going to reposition it. Now you don't want to put it right under the label because we're going to put headers there. So I always put it in the border corner, and then I go like this, and I leave enough space for headers up here. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up our connection to it, our connection to SharePoint. So since there's no, right now, as you can see, there's no data connections in here, right? So we're going to come over here, we're going to go to connectors, and then up in search, we're going to type SharePoint. You don't type the whole thing, just get it to where you can find it pretty easily. And there's SharePoint. And then click on your connection. If you don't have one made, hit add a connection and then put your email address in there, and then you have a connection. Alright, it's going to ask what site. We're going to go dev site, and then the document set, or the document library we want is this one, document set 2, and hit connect. Alright, now as you can see, it puts a data connection up here, and it adds it to your data connection little module here, right? But the way this is sitting right now, files and folders inside this document library are going to show as items. So we don't want the file showing, we only want the top level folder showing, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to filter this items list with filter, and then we're going to say is folder equals true. And what that'll do is it'll only show the folders. If it's a file, it won't show it. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's nothing in here. So we're gonna have to add some fields. So first thing we're doing is we're gonna hit, now right now the whole gallery is selected. When you configure anything in this, it's gonna configure the whole gallery. We only want to configure the row, so we're gonna hit the little edit button right here. As you notice, the height is really high, right? Well, we're going to fix that here in a little bit. But we're going to add our field first. Okay, I'm only going to add a couple fields. Alright, and I use labels for this too, because this is read-only. I'm not trying to edit anything. Alright, so as you see, it defaults to title. Okay, now in this case, this is what we want. But, or you can do this. There's a field called name. Okay, you can use name as well. Name is actually what the file name is, or the name of the folder. It doesn't matter what you use, it's going to be the same thing. Alright, we're going to insert another one, and it's going to be over here. We're going to put it right next to here, and we'll do created. That'll tell us the date it was created. Now for this, I'm going to put borders on them because it's easier to see where the boxes are. So that way I can actually mate up the boxes together. And that's probably what we're going to do here. We don't really need a lot here. And then next thing we're going to do is we're going to key the height by this title box right here, because this is probably going to have the most data in it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the whole row. We're going to go down to height. Right now it's set to 638. Okay. We're going to go this item. Oops. That's what I'm trying to do. No, I need the box. So what am I doing? Alright, so here goes the naming convention stuff again, right? Really wish my computer quit running so slow. We're gonna grab this first label. We'll call it. Now you want to put a prefix in front of each of your control names because that'll tell you what kind of control it is. Because sometimes you'll have more than one control for a name, right? So this is a label, so I go LBL and we'll say start screen name. We want to lock it down to exactly what it is, right? You don't want to make it real long, but you want to make it descriptive enough that you know what it is. Okay, we got that one, and then this one will be label start screen created. So now we go back into our gallery and we'll go back into height and we'll go label start screen name dot height, and I'm going to add like 20 to it just to give it a little bit of space at the bottom so it doesn't like they're not like banded up against each other. Okay, now right now if you highlight this whole thing, it's only going to be 20 high because there's nothing in this thing, right? So let's go back to our document library. Let's just manually add a folder just to add something to it, so we have a name in there. Alright, so as it's mean, oh good lord, come on, let's call it test. As you see, none of these are required, so I don't have to fill those in if I don't want to. The only thing that's required is the name field. Okay, now go back to our document set, and you see test is made. So if you come back into Power Apps and you refresh your data connection with your data source, it should show up. Boom, there it is. Now if we go here, now it says it's 58, which is about right. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what I did. I put it in the wrong spot. I'm sorry. It doesn't go in height. It goes in the template height, the template size. So let's take that out. We'll go back into template size. I was wondering why it didn't change. Ah, that looks better. And then height. That's right, that's right. So it must be the gallery height that I screwed up. Yeah, it's at 0. Alright, so it was 638 before, so we'll put it back to 638. There we go. That looks better. Now, if you look at it, see the height of the row is correct. It's got a 20 pixel thing here, so it's going to put them 20 pixels apart. Now you can take that out if you want them butted up against each other, but I like to have a little space there. Matter of fact, we could probably reduce this down to 10, as long as there's a space. That's what matters. Okay. Alright, so it shows our information here. Now we're going to add a couple of icons on here, and then we're going to go on to the next part. Alright, so now when I put icons up in the banner, that's for the whole entire app, right? Now if I put them in the gallery, it's only for that one item. Okay, so we're going to add 3 icons. First one we're going to add is we're going to add an add icon. Move them over here, and then I'm going to reduce its size so it's more human sized. We don't need it that big. Alright, and I'm going to change the color to white so it's easy to see. Okay, and then I'm going to make another one, and it's going to be my refresh icon. Okay, because we're going to need to refresh this gallery from time to time. And we'll go ahead and set that up now. So what you do is you grab the gallery's items property first before you do anything. And then you click on the refresh button. We're going to change that false to refresh. And then you're going to paste it in there and then close it out. And that's all you got to do. We're basically rerunning the items command in here. Okay. Now the plus symbol we can't configure right now because we need to create some stuff first before we can do it. And the last thing we're going to add in the gallery is a delete button, so we can have the ability to delete document sets from here if we want to. So I'm going to copy this icon again, go back in here, and I'm going to put it down here. I'm going to change this to, I know you can't see it right now, we're going to change the font color. We're going to go to trash, add that, and then we're going to change the color back to black so we can see it. Okay. Now, for this command, all you're going to do is put remove document set 2, because you need a source, or the source or collection, right? And then we're going to say this item. Whenever you say this item, it's going to remove the whole record, the whole item, the whole whatever within SharePoint. Okay. In this case, we're removing a folder. Now, if you have data retention policies in place, you may have to remove the files before you can remove the folder. In my environment, there's nothing like that, so we don't need to do all that. But we will add that in the powerapp later on when we do the files. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create the next screen, the screen to add the document set. So I'm going to minimize the start screen here. Make sure there's anything I need to name. Okay, so let's rename this to remove item. Of course, we're going to put our prefix in there. Okay. And then this icon is my add doc set. And then this one here is my refresh gallery, and that should be, and then this label here is our banner. Okay, now minimize that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to new screen, and we're going to use blank. Now keep in mind there's more here you can play with, but I pretty much stick with blank. Rename it. We're going to go add doc set. Okay. Now there's a few things we're going to do here. Of course, first we're going to make our banner so we know what the purpose of the screen is when we come here. Create document set. Okay. Change this to 30. Make it bold. We're going to center it. Background color blue. Font color white. Okay. Great document set. Alright, so we're going to add a form in here. Okay. A form control works perfect for this. What we're going to do is we're going to go insert, input, and down at the bottom you'll see edit form. Okay, so our edit form we can put right up against the banner, and we'll just do that right here because we're going to put a button down here in a minute. Alright, so we're going to connect to our data. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to our doc set 2, and every column that it thinks you should have on here is going to show up. Alright, now the title column it's not going to be an active field in here, but I need to use it to create the document set. It's going to serve as the name. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a naming convention built inside of it, so that way everything looks the same. Okay, you don't want just people controlling what it's. We only really need one field to make this document set, but I'm going to use these 3 fields to create the title. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this title field to the end, and then I'm going to make it all the way across. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to configure these 3 fields appropriately, which they pretty much are already, but I want to show you some things here. So now in here, if you want to put spaces in between these things, you can. I'm just going to leave them like they are for right now. Now for this title field here, in order to change most of the settings in these things, you have to unlock. They come locked by default. Okay, you'll see the little palette lock right here. So we're going to unlock this field here. And then I'm going to, on this form, I'm going to change the columns to 12, and I'm going to turn stamp the columns off. I want to be able to manipulate these if I can. Alright, so I'm going to make this a little bigger. Make this a little bigger. And then we'll make this all the way across. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these 3 values and put them together. Now, when you're making a title field, you cannot use spaces, and there's certain special characters you can't use. Okay, pretty much the only special characters you use is a dash or an underscore. So when you're putting these together, that's where the date submitted comes in. That's where we're going to have an issue. Okay, because of the slashes. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to wipe out this setting right here in default, and we're going to say, but before we do that, we need to rename these columns, right? So they're easy to, so we know what they are. Make sure you select the field, not the whole card, because the card's got several fields in it. We're going to change this to, since it's a text field, we're going to text last name. Okay, and then this will be text first name, and then this will be DTE for date submitted. Okay, now we're going to come back in here, and now we're going to start building our command. Alright, so first thing is going to be last name, so we're going to go txt last name. Now that's just a control. We need the actual information, right, from the control. So you can go dot text, then you can go a single operand, which means we're going to concatenate. I'm going to put a dash in between it, and then we're going to go txt first name dot text, and anytime you use double quotes and you put something that's going to hard code that whatever you put in between them. Now with your date submitted, we have to convert the data. Okay, and the way you do that is with the text command. So you go text, and then whatever control dot data. So this, since this is a date and time field, it's going to be selected date, comma. Now I have to copy some stuff in here because I don't remember the exact verbiage of it. Just give me a second. So it's going to be quotes. Remember, anytime you set up a text command, the second section's always going to start with quotes. Okay. It's going to look like that. Okay. It's basically putting it in a format where SharePoint can swallow it. Okay, and then we're gonna close out that closes out our command. Okay, now as you see, it puts 2 dashes in the field automatically. Okay, we don't want that. If everything ain't filled in, I don't want to put anything in there. I don't want to populate anything until it does it, because the title field is also required. So the form won't submit unless everything is filled in properly. So we're going to go back to the beginning, put a few spaces here just to make it easier for us to type this out. So we're going to go if is blank. Now we don't want it detecting if it's blank. We want it to detect if it isn't blank. So we're going to put a exclamation point in front of is blank. Okay, that's a not operator, which basically means whatever function you're doing, it's telling it to do the opposite. Okay, so now it's going to require information in it, and we're going to put our 3 fields in there again. So text, last name, but we don't have to put .text behind it. We're just checking controls. Okay, so we close that out. We're going to say, now we're going to use an AND statement because we want all 3 filled in at the same time, right? So we're going to use, the way you do that is use 2 apparent symbols. If you want to go OR, you put 2 pipe symbols. Okay, and we're just going to do that again. So exclamation point is blank, text first, name, and exclamation is blank, date submitted. Whoops. Comma. And then we're going to bring them together. We're going to come down here, and then we're going to close out the if statement. As you see now, what it did is, because they're blank, nothing is in here, right? Now it's going to wait till all 3 of these are filled before it'll even put in here. Now it looks like there's something in here. There's not. That's just a default value that they put in there that isn't real data, and if you try to submit it, it won't work. Because watch, if I put mine, so if we run this form, whoops, if I do something, when you're creating forms that will be new forms at some point, you need to change the default mode to view. If you need to edit, you can actually tell it to go to edit automatically, but this is default, so that way it'll show up. So now if we open it, so now it works. So if I put, say my name is John Doe. Okay, so if I go Doe, John, and even if I click off of it, you notice the title field doesn't populate anything. Alright, so we need to go ahead and put a date in here. So let's put today's date in here, and boom, it populates everything the way it's supposed to. Okay, now since the user will not interact with this thing, we don't want them to have access to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the whole card altogether so they can't change it. Okay, and the way you do that is, well, there's 2 different ways. You can go visible right here on the card, or you can just go down to visible here. It's whatever you're more comfortable with, and change this to false. So let's just do that, and boom, it's gone. Okay, and now we need a way of submitting this form, right? So now what we're going to do is insert a button, and we're going to call the button submit. Click off of it so it saves it, and we are going to stop there because now we need to make our flow to create our document set. Okay, we are now going to create our Power Automate flow that's going to create that document set on SharePoint and within that document library. Alright, so what you're going to do is we're going to start out with creating the flow. You can create the flow through Power Automate, but it's actually easier doing it through Power Apps because it does a lot of the steps for you. So let's click on our Power Automate symbol right here. As you can see when you hover over it, it says Power Automate. Now at the top you got Add Flow, and down here in the button you got Create New Flow. Add Flow means it already exists. When you hit Create New Flow, means you're creating a brand new flow that hasn't been created. Now since we're going to create a new flow, we're going to click this button right here, and it's going to take you to the first screen of the wizard. Okay, I call it the template screen because it shows templates whenever it loads. Now it preloads. They have some preloaded templates I can use, and it'll create it. It'll create the automate thing for you with all the connections. But I like starting from blank because I like to know what I'm dealing with. So you hit Create from Blank. It'll set the trigger as Power Apps is what it needs to be. Okay, and this step requires no configuration. You can open it up and see it says no additional information is needed for this step. Okay, we're going to hit Next Step, and then we're going to search for Create New Folder. You're looking for the SharePoint emblem, and it says Create New Folder next to it. Once you open up that step, we are going to hard code the site address and the library because we're only using this flow for this particular Power App. Now if you're going to use it for multiple Power Apps, you want to make it dynamic, you can ask it to pull it from Power Apps. Okay, and that we will do. The folder path will be pulling for Power Apps, so you can see how I do that. Now if you want, so you're going to click the drop down arrow, you're going to select your site if it's showing. If it's not, you got to enter a custom value. So you go dev site, and then we're going to select document set to for our list or library. Now like I said, the folder path is going to be dynamic content, so you're going to click in the box and it's going to pop up this dynamic box over here. Since there is no dynamic content whatsoever so far in this app, it's done by each flow and each step. Okay, so we're going to hit Ask in Power Apps because we're pulling the information from Power Apps. As you can see, it puts, if you hover over it, you can see the first part of it says Create New Folder, and that's the name of the step. And then it says underscore, and then it says the name of the field that we're in, which is folder path. So that's why it does that. So if you wanted to say something different than that, you can only affect the first part of it, and that's renaming the step. You obviously can't rename this. Alright, once you're done with that, you're going to hit Next Step, and we're going to create, now we're going to update our file properties. Okay, even though it's on the folder, it's called File. So you go Update File Properties. It'll search as soon as you start typing. If your computer's running normal speed, like mine is not right now. So just hold on a second. Alright, so very first thing pops up, Update File Properties, and it's SharePoint, and that's what we want. So you click that, and it brings up these three cells. Okay, it's just like the previous step. You're going to select the drop down, select what you want in there. Same thing for list and library. Now once you put the list and library in there, all the properties from that library is going to pop up, or if it's a list, the list columns. Now these two boxes right here are the only ones that are going to pull from this step. The rest are going to get pulled from Power Apps. So you're going to click inside here. You're looking for that Create New Folder step. Okay, and then you hit ID. Now sometimes you're going to have multiple things in here, so you got to be careful what you're selecting. Title is going to be title inside the folder, the Create New Folder step. So you're going to select title, then you're going to come down to the last name, Now when you're using dynamic content, when asking from Power Apps, you gotta go, sometimes it won't just show up. Because it was the first time, that's why it showed up under Power Apps. So you're gonna scroll to the bottom, you'll see the Power Apps section, hit see more, scroll down again, and you'll see asking Power Apps. And you do that for each one of these. Now the two descriptions we're not going to use. One's for the document set, one is an actual column in that document library. So we're not going to use either one of those. Now you can use it, but I would use this one right here because that's the one that goes with the library. It'll go anywhere. And you can put that in, you can actually put that in your gallery if you really wanted to. Now content ID, that is important, okay, because we're making a document set, which is a content type, right? So we need to know what ID that is. Now sometimes it'll just populate in here, but in this case it's not. So you have to enter a custom value. Well, you need to know what that ID is. So what we're going to do is have to go back to SharePoint, and we are going to find out what that is. So you're going to go into the library settings, more library settings, and then you're going to click on document set. Okay, when you click on document set, it's going to bring you into the settings. We're not going to mess with any of the settings. What we need to do is figure out, you know, it's in the ID. The ID is embedded into the URL. So you're going to click on the URL, you're going to hit the N key on your keyboard, which will take you to the end of the URL, and you're going to copy everything from the end all the way up to where it says C type equals. You do not select that. You just select everything back behind it. You're going to hit Control C to copy it, and then you're going to go back to your Power App you're in, which has Automate, and you're going to paste that value in the content type ID, just like that. And once you're done with that, you're done setting up the steps. You're going to rename it to, there's no really naming convention, but I do the name of the flow dash. If it's directly tied to a Power App, then I put dash and then the Power App name, or at least a way of identifying what it goes to. Okay, so we're going to go create doc set dash doc set 2, and then you're going to hit, you can either hit save up here or save down here, it doesn't matter, it does the same thing. Once it saves it, it's going to close this window and it's going to go back to Power Apps, and then it'll populate it in the Power Automate section. Now we're going to set up the trigger for this Power App flow. So you're going to click on the button, you're going to go to the on select property, right? So you got all these other properties, and you're going to start typing the name of the Power Automate title. Okay, so you say create, and then what you're going to do is you're going to look for where the .run is. Okay, the name of it, .run. You need the whole thing. Now you notice up top here it tells you exactly what order to stick stuff in. All right, all the stuff they got to ask for. So the first thing is the title field. So we'll go frm txt title, and then of course you got to put .text behind it because it's a text field, comma. When you put the comma in, it tells you the next thing. Okay, so it's frm txt last dot txt comma. Now as you can see, you can only see half of what the word says. If you hover over it, it'll tell you everything. So all we're missing is first name and date submitted. So we're going to go first name dot text. Alright, now the next one's date submitted. Date fields are kind of special when it comes to doing it using this data within Power Automate. You got to do it a certain way. So to ensure that I didn't mistype type anything. I went ahead and just copied and pasted it into a notepad, and I'm going to paste it in now. Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to take the selected date, and since the schemas are different between Power Automate and SharePoint, you're going to use the text function to convert it to a different format. Okay. We're setting it as an English US, and then it's got to be formatted like this: 4-digit year dash 2-digit month dash 2-digit day. Okay, and then we're going to put a semicolon after it because we have to do a second command. All right. Whoops, I forgot the other parentheses. That's why it's giving me the ugly squiggly line. All right, so that's good. Now we're going to navigate back to the first screen. So I'm going to navigate, start screen. Now I'm going to put a transition in it because I like cover right, so I use cover right. And then we're going to close it. And that part's done. So now that we're going to go back to the start screen, and we still got to configure the plus symbol, right? So I went ahead and put the plus symbol stuff in there. This is how you create the document set. You know, you hit the plus, fill in the form, and hit the button, right? So you hit plus sign here. Now when you're using edit forms, you have to clear out the form first, whether you use a new form or edit form, because you don't want any old data in there. Because if there's a field in there that actually has data in it and the old item, but there isn't in the new item, it won't blank it out automatically. You have to, it's just best to clear the form first and then open up what you need to with your other command. So to clear the command you use to clear an edit form is reset form, and then you put the form name, which I did. You put a semicolon after it, and then you do new form or edit form depending on what you're doing, the form name, semicolon, and then you navigate to that screen where that form lives. Okay, and that's pretty much everything. Okay, now let's test this out. So we go in here, we're going to hit the plus symbol. It cleared the form out like it's supposed to, and I'm going to put, my name is Doe, last name is Doe, first name is John, and we'll select the date. We'll say the 19th. Okay, you're going to hit create new document set. It's going to create the folder, and once it does that, it'll navigate back to the first screen. Now as you can see, nothing new changed here. I said something about this earlier. You're going to have to hit this refresh button because sometimes it takes time for it to create it and it gets back to the screen too fast. So you hit refresh. There's our document set that just got made. Last name, first name, the date, and the date created. Now we're going to verify with SharePoint that it actually wrote it. I know it's on SharePoint because it shows up in my gallery, but I'm going to show you through SharePoint as well. So when you go back to SharePoint and you navigate back to the library itself, you'll notice it's right here. This is one we created. See, it said about a minute ago, and it shows our properties. So if you open it up, of course there's no files in it because we haven't added any yet. And if you look on the right side, it's going to show all our properties eventually. And what it did, of course, it didn't put anything in the description because we told it not to, but it loaded everything else: the last name, the first name, and the date submitted. Alright, we're going to go back to Power Apps now, and the next portion we're going to do is add documents. Alright, we're going to go ahead and talk about how to get files added to your document set. First thing you have to do is you have to create a third screen. And so you're going to click on new screen, blank, and then we're going to add our title across the top using our text label. We'll say files contained within, and then we're going to use the gallery's properties on the first page to keep it dynamic. So we go gal start screen dot selected dot title. Make it like 30, bold, centered, background color of blue, font color of white. This title right here is what you currently selected to get to the screen once we get it going, once we run the app. Alright, now we're going to add a gallery. The gallery is going to display the files within this document set. So you're going to go insert, layout, blank flexible height gallery. Now I'm going to put this in here, take up like half the screen. For the items, what we're going to do is we're going to set it to the your document library. Okay, so doc set 2, but we're going to put a filter on it. So you're going to go filter doc set 2, comma. We're going to use the column called folder path. Oops, got inside there, didn't I? So we go folder path equals, and then we're going to go quotes, and it's going to be the doc set 2, the original name I made it, slash and then we're going to concatenate it with gallery start screen dot selected dot title. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, title dot text. Oh wait, no, it needs the field. I'm sorry. That would be label title. Okay, so we'll go back to our gallery. Dot text. And go and slash. That slash is very important that you put that in there, otherwise it's not going to find it. And then we're going to put a second filter in there saying is folder equal false. Okay, now when you do that, it's going to put all the files in there. Okay, and then we're gonna of course I'm gonna put sorting in there like I always do. Sort ascending, close. Okay, now what we're going to do in here now is we're going to insert a label for the title. So it'll be this item, name with file extension, and then we're going to set the template size to that thing in here. So we're going to rename it label file name, and I'm going to set the template size to that file name field. So we go to template size, we're going to label file name dot height plus 20. I can see there's nothing in here right now, so that's why it's going to do that. Okay, so we're in the T's one, so let's go ahead and add a file in here so you can actually see that it is working. Go here, we're going to refresh our data source. Let's leave the screen. Let's go back to the screen. It's not pulling it in. Let me double check and make sure I got this URL. Doc set to. Yeah, if it ain't exactly right, it won't work. Okay, so let's go back to items. There we go. I guess it's case sensitive too. As you notice, it didn't bring in the folder, but it brought in that file that I uploaded. And if you see, it auto heights the template size exactly the way I wanted to do it. Now we could make it a little bigger. So we'll make it like 20. So you can actually read it a little better. And another thing I want to do is I want to add a delete button. So if I want to delete the file out of that document set, I can. So let's insert a icon. The trash icon for this one as well. Move it over here, and on select will be remove doc set to this item. Okay, now to test it, hold the Alt down, click on here, and it disappears. So it works. Alright, so that part's working. Now we got our thing set up, so now we're gonna make the port that actually adds files. Okay. So to make this work, you're going to need three things, along with the Power Automate flow I'm going to have to make, and that'll be in the next one, the next video that I do. You need a gallery, which will remain hidden. You won't even need to see it, but what we do is we utilize the image control, which gives me all the content of the file you're trying to upload. An attachment control, which doesn't come with the document library, so we'll have to put a list on here temporarily just to pull that control off, and then a button to initiate the upload. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is the reason I only went half the screen. We're going to put our gallery over here somewhere with our button and our gallery and our attachment control. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the attachment control up top and then the save button underneath of it. So what we're going to do is we go under your screen here and we're going to add a vertical gallery because we need the image control this time. Okay, so we're going to go vertical gallery. We're going to use dock set 2, and then we're going to move it over here. Now I need to know what number this is, so if you click on the image control, it'll tell you it's image 1. Okay, now we don't need to see this anymore. Okay, so now before we hide this thing, we got to set up the items of it. It's displaying everything right now, and that ain't what we want. But before we can set up the items, we got to pull in that attachment control. So what you need to do now is you go under here and you need to add a list. It doesn't matter what the list is. It's not going to stay on here. We just need to pull it in so we can copy the attachment control and then put it on the screen. Okay, so go ahead and hit add data, type in SharePoint, and grab your SharePoint control or SharePoint connection and then connect to it. And we'll just grab, I'll just go on dev site. I'll use driving record, I guess. I just need a list. Okay. Now, I'm going to make a screen temporarily just to house this thing so I can pull this attachment control. So we're going to go new screen, blank. You're going to insert and edit form control so that way you can pull it in. So it's right here. You're going to go driving record, and of course the attachment control is not there. Okay, so we're going to go into fields, add field, and grab my attachments. Where's the attachments at? So the form doesn't have the attachment control displayed automatically, so I'm going to add it. So you select attachments and click add. And then we can close this. This is the control we need. Now keep in mind, this is a card. The card you can't copy. You gotta grab the control itself. So you go here, Control C, go back to your screen with this on, and we're going to add that control. Okay, now it makes it really large, so just gotta make it smaller. Okay, let's grab it down here. Okay, so we're gonna grab this control, we're going to cut it, and we're going to paste it into screen 5. Okay, now we're going to set it, we'll set it on top of the other gallery for right now, and we'll move it later. Okay, so now we got our attachment control in here. I'm going to remove this screen because we don't need it anymore, and then I'm going to remove my list because we don't need it anymore. Alright, so we're going to click on the gallery. We're going to set the items to, here, let's rename this real quick so it's easier to tell. Call it upload files. Now we'll go with this. ATT upload files. Okay. Now for the items property here, it's not going to be docset2. It's going to be attachments upload files dot attachments. Okay. And now we can make this disappear. Okay. Now we're going to grab this attachments box, because this is where you're going to upload your attachments or files, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a button to initiate, you know, your flow that's going to upload all these files. So I need to rename the screen. I forgot to do that earlier. So we'll go upload files. Alright. So we're gonna go insert button. Grab the button, bring it over here. I'll make it a little wider. We're gonna call it button upload files. Okay, it's being dumb. Well, let me put a space in there. Okay. Now we start configuring them. Okay. Now this one's got a bunch of errors, so you just keep hitting edit in formula bar. You can pretty much just wipe out every formula that's got errors, okay, because it's still tied to that list that we no longer have on here. We're just using it to grab the files, okay, and that's all the configuration that goes on in here. Now we're going to be able to do the first part of this command, but then we're going to have to switch gears over to automate, build out the flow, and then we'll come back and finish it. Okay. So first thing you're going to do is we're going to create a collection that's going to grab all this file information and put it in that gallery we hid in the back. Okay. Now this gallery hid in the back is this one. So we're going to name this gal upload files. Okay. And then this gallery here is going to be gal currently upload files. Okay. This one's going to show, this shows the current files, the other gallery is for using it with this thing over here. Alright, so we're going to click on the button. We're going to open it up because we're going to need some space. Alright, so the first thing we do is we're going to create a collection. So we're going to go clear, collect, and we're going to name it col files, collection of files. And we're going to select two columns to show in this collection. Okay, one of them is part of the attachments control, and the other one we're going to add afterwards. So we're going to go show columns, add columns. Remember, we're doing I'm going to write out this whole thing and then I'll explain how it works. So add columns, add files. So the collection, the gallery we're going to pull from the gallery we're pulling from to create the collection is what we're going to put here. So it's going to be gal upload files dot all items, comma, base 64 is what we're calling that column, with the attachment control. Wait, no, I got ahead of myself. Sorry. Our attachment. We're creating a variable with this, okay? JSON. And remember, we said that image control was image1, which you can see right there too. So image1 dot image JSON format computer's getting behind again. Alright, so we're going to put in JSON format dot include binary data. We're going to close the parentheses and then close the record, the curly braces. Okay, and then we're going to go comma, mid, var attachment, comma, find, var attachment, +1. Then var attachment minus find var attachment -1 1 2 3 comma base 64 name, oops, got a quotation, double quotes. Alright, it's angry about something. I must have mistyped something. Alright. Oh, I think I figured it out. It's a comma. Nope. Doing that apparently. The comma is supposed to be there though. Alright, so their attachment, JSON, image1, image, oh, it's there, okay, so it disappeared on me. Okay, so will you stop doing that? Good lord, I'm not supposed to read anything when you're doing that. Mid, var attachment, find, Okay, we got the command to pull to create the collection. Alright, now we're going to switch to the other video for the flow, and then we'll continue on with Power Apps. Alright, we're going to build our flow for adding files. What you're going to do is, just like the other flow, you're going to hit the Power Automate icon. You're going to hit, see, since there's a flow there now, to create a new flow workflow. Create flow is not there no more. So you're going to hit add a flow, and then up top you're going to hit create new flow. And just like last time, you're going to hit create from blank. So you got Power Apps as your first step, and of course you don't have to configure it. Be bigger. If it ever comes up. Alright, so you got that up and running. So now you're going to create a new step, and you got to create some variables. Okay. The first one is going to be name of doc set. Okay. So we're going to go new step, and you're going to do initialize variable. Okay. Now, with variables, I definitely rename the steps, so I know what the variable is for. Okay, so we're going to go name of doc set. You don't have to take the spaces out, but I do, just to keep things real. Alright. Variable name, I'm going to call this doc set name. Okay, we're going to change the type to a string, and this one I'm going to ask for in Power Apps. Okay, that's why I changed my name, so I know exactly what it is. Alright, the next one is we're going to do a compose. Okay, so we're going next step, compose data operation. Okay. You're going to click on the inputs, and the input is going to be compose inputs. Okay, so you're going to ask in Power Apps for that one as well. Okay. And then the next step is going to be parse JSON. Okay. Now on the top step, on the content, you're going to select outputs from the previous step of compose. Now, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll do an output from here to find out what the content is, and then pull the schema in using that generate from sample. Well, I've already done that, and I'm going to copy and paste that schema in there because I've already done this before. Okay, as you noticed, there's your 2 columns that you made earlier in that collection. Okay, and that's what's required to get in there. All right, we go next step. The next step, you're going to create a loop. You're going to loop through. You're going to do one file at a time, and it's going to loop through all the files until it's done. And for that, you're going to use a apply to all. All right, or apply to each. Sorry. And then within, so for what you're going to use, that is you're going to use the parse JSON body that comes out of it, and that's going to be your input for this step. So you go parse JSON body, and then you're going to set an action inside here. Now everything that's inside this box is going to run on every file. Okay, we're going to do a create file action, and you got to make sure it's from SharePoint. There's a lot of create file things in here. Now for this part, you can't really make it dynamic, so we're going to hard code it for this app just like we did the last one. So you're going to select the dev site as your SharePoint site, and then you're going to select your document library 2, wherever it is. And I don't see it. Oh, it's right here. It's by the file name. Okay, so you're going to put a slash behind it, and then you're going to put the variable docset name behind it. But that slash needs to be there, and it keeps taking it out. Alright, so it should look like that. In file name, you're going to put under parse JSON, you're going to put the name in there. It's one of the things that gets kicked out. If you look in the JSON or the schema, you'll see the name column is in there along with base64. Alright, now the last one is the tricky one. Okay, you're going to have to write an expression. Okay, so you're going to go in here, you're going to click on expression first, and then you're going to type in base 64 to binary, okay, parentheses, and inside those parentheses you're going to type items, and then another parentheses, apply, whoops, gotta put those hash marks in there, apply to each, and then after that after apply to each, in between those two, you're going to click on dynamic content, and you're going to select base 64, which isn't showing up for some reason. So we'll just type it in. Square brackets, base 64. Okay. And then you're going to click OK. And this expression will pop up here. And if you look at it, You double check it, make sure it looks the way it's supposed to. At that point, you're going to rename it. She got stopped. Alright, so you rename it to, I like calling it Easy Upload. So, same format. I just call it Easy Upload. Well, let's call it Easy File Upload. So you know what it is. And you hit Save. Once it saves, it should come back up in here. And when we continue the next thing, we continue on with the powerapp in the next video. Okay, now we're back in poweraps and we're going to finish up the upload files button. Alright, the first part was actually the hard part that was up here. You mess up any kind of punctuation, it'll fail and it won't work. Okay, now we're going to run, we're going to act, once we did this, we now are going to activate the flow. So you go easy upload, easy file upload dot run. Okay, and we only have two things we have to do right here. Okay, the doc.value, which is going to be your title from your gallery, right? So we're going to go gal start screen. No, not start screen, I'm sorry. Get myself all confused. I need to upload files gallery. Okay, dot selected. No, I was right to start with. I get myself confused here. Start screen dot selected dot title. Okay, comma, and then the compose inputs is that image. Alright, it's not the title, it's label title dot text, and then the second part is JSON, and then the collection, so the co files. Then you're going to go JSON format indent4. So you're going to come all the way down here to indent4. And then you're going to close, semicolon. Okay, so there's your command for your flow. Now once it uploads the files, I'm going to reset my attachment control so that way it empties it out, and then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate back to my front screen. But I'm not going to do that. I want to see if my file's uploaded, so we're just going to stay right here for now. I may put another button in later to go back to the first screen. So we need to make sure the stuff goes in here. So one thing I want to put in here is another icon. Is the sync icon, which is your refresh. I want to refresh that gallery to the left. So we'll go sync. We'll move it over here. I'll make it a little smaller so it's not, so it's kind of human sized. Okay. We're going to make this white so you can see it. And then we're going to grab this, copy, that's become our data source for our refresh function. So we'll go refresh that and close it. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and test it. So we do have our thing here. So let's go back to our start screen. We'll start from the beginning. Alright, we're going to grab one of these ones that are empty. So let's run our app. So we'll do the John Doe one. So, oh, I did forget to do one thing though. Let's do that real quick. We got to be able to navigate from this gallery item into the upload files, right? So we're going to go here. We're going to edit the first line. Remember, you can't do nothing in this gallery except to edit the first line. I'm going to go on select. I'm going to set a variable, calling it edit record, because this is going to hold a record. We'll go with this item. Okay, and then I'm going to navigate to that screen. Okay, and I do need to do one more thing on here. I never did set the items. No, that's fine. We don't need it. So we should be good now. Let's go ahead and run our app. I'm going to select this one. As you can see, there's nothing in the gallery. Okay. Now you can drag and drop in here. You can hit attach file. You can do however you want. I like drag and drop. So let's grab. This looks weird the way it's sorted. All right. So I'm gonna grab some Office files. So let's go to. Oh, I keep going to the wrong folder, I'm sorry. Office Docs, and I'll grab some Word documents. Okay, so I'm going to grab these four. I'm going to drag them in here. Okay. As you can see, they're all in here now. And now I want to upload them to my document set. So I'm going to hit Upload Files. Okay, the fact that they disappeared means it worked. Okay. It wouldn't get to that reset unless it ran the flow, and then it didn't give me no error. So if I refresh, there's all my files, and then if I go back to my document library, which means I'm in something different right now. So let's go back to my doc set 2. I'm gonna go to John Doe. And what do you know? There's all my files. Okay, now the last thing is we got to test our delete functionality, right? So we're going to go back into our Power App, and I want to delete this file right here. Okay, so you click the delete button and it should disappear. Okay, we'll go back in here and I refresh this page and that file should disappear. So we are 100% functional right now. And that is how you do your file upload. I know it was a very long class, but I hope this helped you see how that's done. And then of course when you're done you need to publish it, otherwise it's not going to work right. So let's go in and let's try this out from the user side. So now normally what you do is you trigger this app using the link, okay, putting it on a button on your page or whatever. So we'll do that real quick. So you're going to go into your app, so DocSet 2, you're going to go here to details, and here's your link you're going to put on your button, okay. So you copy the link, I think I copied it. You're going to go back to your site. Let's go back to my dev site and I'll put a button on here. Okay, so I got this link library right here, so let's go ahead and let's edit my page. Wait a minute. Oh, it's been a while since I've done SharePoint apparently. Alright, so we're going to add a link here. And I'll call this, we'll go in here, put our link in here, and then I'm going to call, we're going to change, no, I'll do icon, change, we'll make a file icon. What in the world? That is not what I wanted to do. Alright, edit that, try this again. Go file, yeah, we'll do this. And then we'll say document sets for finance or something. You know, you say what the library, what's the purpose of the library. Alright, so we go in here, boom, it's all set up, close that, republish. Now the user comes in, they're going to hit this link, it's going to open up the Power App, comes up to document sets. We're going to create a new one, so we hit plus, we'll say her last name is Jones, first name is Nancy, and the date submitted was Wednesday. Okay, we're going to create our document set, brings us back to the beginning. We refresh, there's your document set, we go in here, we're going to attach some files, so we go attach file, and we're going to come to Office Docs, where they go. Oh, my stuff keeps moving around. Alright, go Office Docs, we'll do PDFs this time. I'll do this one, and you can control click them all day long. Okay, so you go here, you open them, it attaches them, and you hit upload files. Give it a second, hit the refresh, boom, they're in there. So now I did forget to put a home button in here, so we'll have to do that. But refresh, it'll open up the beginning. You go to Nancy Jones. Now as you navigate around, you know, it will show the files in that document set. If you got any questions or comments, put them in the down below. And I also am going to attach a outline of what I taught, but it's a complete outline. It's not this. I made several videos in the middle. This is going to go from beginning to end to kind of assist you in what you have to do. And all the schema updates and all that stuff, the notes that I put out, you know, that make things easier for you, I'm going to include them in the bottom as well. And happy SharePointing.